Hello and welcome to episode 83 of the Dash podcast. It's the Christmas special, or should I say Merry Dashmas, everyone. So I'm Mark Mason and I'm joined by my two regular fellow amigos, but many special guests to celebrate the Christmas period. First off, I'll just say hi to the regulars. So Brian, Mastermind, how's it going?
Ho, ho, ho.
Excellent. And Joel, who's joined by someone else. So how's it going, Joel?
Hi, this guy broke into my apartment. I don't know who he is.
I just live here now.
And you got an additional person in the background there as well, rocking some Dash shades.
Bob. When I get frustrated, sometimes like when the price crashes, I go take my anger out on him. But even he's feeling pretty dashy. Look at him.
Excellent. And right, so let's get into our guests. I'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. I thought it wouldn't be good to do a Dash Christmas special for 2018 without having some of the most instrumental projects to Dash onboarding merchants. So I'll first start off with Dash Venezuela, and to represent them, we have Lorenzo. How's it going, Lorenzo?
What's up, Mark? Everything's going well. I actually have a cold, I'm coming out of a cold, so I'm a little, I would say I feel a little weak, so I might not be as energetic as usually because I'm a little sick still, but yeah. Thanks. That's why happy to be here, and the cold gets us all.
That's what crypto winter does to people. But hey, the price looks like it's going up, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's some hope lately, so yeah.
And joining us from Colombia is George Donnelly. Now, if you don't know George, then you've not been in Dash like in 2018 because he's done such a phenomenal job. He's come into Dash like a whirlwind. I'm really looking forward to talking to George, just talking about how the project started and where he's at today, would he done things differently. But hey, George, thank you for joining us. How's it going?
No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure as always. Doing great. Absolutely.
Excellent. And repping Dash Core Group is podcast regular Alex Werner. How's it going?
Hey, perfect.
Excellent. So I'm sure at some stage we're probably going to have loads of like core questions or things. So you're going to be the representative. So hopefully you can field those questions as good as you usually do.
Yeah, we'll see. I can always disconnect.
Right. So this is true.
Typical core.
Yeah. So this is completely unscripted. So we're just going to go. I think we should just reflect on the year 2018. And for me personally, not just because Dashforce has discoverdash.com, but just the merchant growth this year alone. When we first migrated in February from the previous Discover Dash, we only had something like 600 merchants. And right now it's close to 5,000. And most of that is due to Venezuela, because over half the merchants listed, over 2,500, are in Venezuela. So that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I was just writing an article and I noted that 13 months ago, so a year and a month ago from right about today, there was 500 merchants on Discover Dash. So we were all happy. Oh yeah, we got 500, and now it's like dump 4,000 on top of that.
Yeah. So Lorenzo, let's start with you. So Venezuela, you've had lots of challenges. You've got many projects: Dash Merchant, Dash Help, Dash Text. Now Dash Remittance as well is another one. Like you just don't stop. Is there going to be more projects next year, or are you satisfied? Because you must have scaling problems, right? Because you've got lots of teams under you, right?
Yeah, well, you know that my associates and me have actually other businesses in Venezuela, other successful businesses aside from our Dash projects, So we are familiar with running businesses. We know how to delegate responsibilities, and we are very passionate and very committed to creating solutions and always coming up with stuff, building the structure, and then letting it run. We are very good at supervising and creating ideas. So, we're just trying to create the best and healthier ecosystem there is. And we actually collaborate a lot with other projects, independent projects in which we're not directly involved as directors, but we also collaborate with them. Eugenia's team is an independent team. She started the movement here, and we came later. She gave us support, and now we work in tandem, each one with their strengths. Then other teams came, like Dash Trip and the Dash Youth guys. We help them a lot as well. So I don't know what the future will bring. I can just tell you that we are always coming up with new ideas, new partnerships, new solutions, and that's what we do, man. And we still do that with our other projects that you guys don't know much about because they're not Dash related, with other businesses and with Dash as well, which has been the thing that has gave us so much life and a will to make our country better. You know, we really believe this is a great opportunity for the people of our country that we're working so hard to bring back up to have economic freedom. So yeah, we're just gonna keep working, man.
How much chicken have you bought?
What?
How much chicken have you bought with Dash so far?
Chicken? I don't know. I mean,
he's got to be careful. I mean, still, look, we're looking back on 2018. So much has happened. We had the hash wars, and we thought that was the height of the drama. But then we had the crypto chicken wars as well. So we won't talk about too much about that because I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable because there's still lots of things that we're not allowed to talk about, right? So we don't want to upset anyone.
Like when the church's chicken integration happened, I saw a lot of people. You know, a lot of people are like happy. A lot of haters, of course, because there's haters. But then there's always a lot of people. What is it with Dash and chicken? Is there something I missed? Is there a connection I missed?
Chicken war, you know.
And you know what's funny? The symbol, the kind of like mascot for Litecoin is a chicken, misspelled C-I-K-U-N. And so I've been making chicken dinner jokes for a long time about like Dash gonna eat chicken for we're gonna overtake Litecoin kind of comments. So that's always
excellent.
Coincidentally, one of our strongest merchants here in Colombia is also a chicken chain, but it's roast chicken, not fried chicken.
Rosti pollo.
So is Latin America just really they just love fried chicken? Is that what it is? Is it just they've got?
We actually love chicken. You know,
the whole world loves chicken.
I like pizza.
Oh yeah, right.
You know, there's a line of business which is extremely popular here in Venezuela, and the funny thing is that it's not a franchise. I mean, each business is independent; they're not related, but the chicken tastes exactly the same. So people come from outside and they believe it's the same. It's called pollo en brasa, which means chicken on a stick, and it's delicious, man. So that's another funny thing. Hopefully, we'll have many pollos en brasa soon, except in Dash.
Right. So, George, how many merchants is Colombia got now? Because you've been working your tail off, and I don't even know how many you've got anymore. Because you've got so many, they're not all uploaded to Discover Dash yet. But you're over 300 on your last mastermind report, right? So
yeah, we're about 335 at this moment. Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge that you've had? Because we've spoke about point of sale solutions, which is why Spencer's here from Spark as well. Ripping that. Did I actually introduce Spencer? I missed you out at the beginning. Oh, I'm so sorry, Spencer. Or Kodaks, as he's known in the community. Yeah, so Spencer's been on the show already, and he's got Spark. GetSpark.com from memory. Is that correct?
Yeah. Get Dash Spark. It's confusing. It's changing soon. It's all changing.
Excellent. Yeah, so like, because George, you started out with a different POS solution, but then you switched to Spark, correct? Is that
I was looking at another one, but then it wasn't meeting my expectations. So then by that time Spark was ready to go, and so we just hit hard on Spark. We've probably got 30 to 40 merchants using Spark now, at least.
So are you satisfied with what you got? Because surely you must reach a plateau. Because once you get like 300, you've got to scale your operation, right, in terms of team and everything else. But like then it gets the tricky situation that you can keep onboarding merchants, but you've got to make sure you get the customers going there. There's a tricky balance going on. And it is. I don't think there is a perfect formula in what we're doing, but we're kind of going through that discovery process right now. So
and shout out to George, and the Dash Talk Discord is the place to go. StayDashy.com. We'll pimp it at the end. But George spearheaded the brainstorming channel there, where we've been coming up with all kinds of cool ideas and talking about how do we market this exactly? How do we overcome like credit card fees? How do we get Dash liquidity into a country? How do we do all this? Like, where all like the actual ideas stuff is happening. And so if you're interested in actually coming and helping out and all this, or just watching the experts like George work, watch the brain work in real time, you can go in there and look at it.
Have y'all talked about a solution for, everybody has to like put their camera behind the computer of the, the register.
Oh, it's different for each merchant. It's different. Some are still using mobile. Somebody's got the screen they can turn around. I think that one video we saw most recently with Isabel, I think that was quite a unique case. Or if you go on YouTube, Lorenzo, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think it's Pay with Dash Venezuela. Is that the hashtag?
Venezuela pays with Dash.
Venezuela Pay. If you put that into YouTube, they've got a playlist of about, I think it's close to 20 videos now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's more than that actually.
Wow. So like they're coming in by the day. So you're incentivizing people to do that, right? Is that the you're getting regular people to showcase?
Okay. Yeah, it's like a contest. So people get a small tip for making a good video, So there's people pouring over, recording some videos, and it's been great, man. It's so beautiful to watch people go out there and record themselves. Just very satisfying.
How much are the crypto phones? How much are those? What do those cost?
The K1 is $25, right?
They're very inexpensive.
Well, the K1, that's actually funny because I just recorded a video today. I'm so excited about it because the K1, you receive your Dash using Dash Text, and that phone costs like $12, man, something like that. I mean, it depends on the store, but if you get it directly from the distributor, it costs like $12, and in the store, probably not more than $20. So it's very, very inexpensive, very accessible, and it's so easy. So we're probably going to upload that video tonight or tomorrow morning. We should be uploading the video, teaching people how to redeem their Dash using Dash Text on the K1s. And yeah, Alejandro and Carlos were actually today at the Crip offices out there in Miami. They went for the holidays over there. So yeah, it's a beautiful partnership. We're creating new partnerships to do that kind of stuff, and it's so exciting.
Well, I was happy about the figure of selling over 66,000 crypt phones to date, but I believe that's still Venezuela. So they're not in Colombia yet, are they, George? Because you must be thinking, come over here, like come across the border. Like I've got loads of customers.
No, they're available for sale here. In fact, a couple people just bought crypt phones today in the center of Medellin. They sent me photos of it. So yeah,
fantastic.
But they're not widely distributed. For example, I asked the distributor and he's where I can buy them, and he's like, not really that many places yet. Just wait, But we found a place, so we bought some, or not me, but some other guys here.
Yeah, so 5 models, I think, isn't there?
I believe so. Yeah.
There's the K1, the K4, the K5, and the K55. Those are the ones that I'm aware of. Those are the 4 models. I have thankfully been able to test them all. And yeah, they're just great products, man. I mean, they're very inexpensive, but they get the job done. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, I recorded an unboxing of the K5. It's on the Dash Help channel, so it's in Spanish. You can go out there. There are subtitles, and I explain everything about the phone, just like in any phone reviews channel, So
here's the thought: would one of those work as a merchant terminal?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
merchant, it just doesn't have. It's our cash only, and you just say, "Here, I'll buy you a phone. It's cheap, and it comes with the Dash app in there, and then you just hook it up and install, like, say, Spark on there, and they can start taking payments right into the phone." I do know one of the local merchants here in Portsmouth has a little Android phone on a stand that's just used for Dash. So do you think this is something that could be useful for, and what do you think also, George? Do you think this is something you could do?
That's a great idea. Yeah, and we've been working on manufacturing our own custom stands so that you can screw it onto a surface and then it'll rotate, so the guy who attends can like punch in the amount and then rotate it to the consumer, and the consumers can scan that. But that's a great idea, because also the distributor will sell us the phones at a great discount if we buy 20 or more. So yes, that is a great idea, Joel.
Yeah, actually here in Venezuela, there are merchants who are actually already doing this. One of the most popular ones is the ice cream store, Efe. Efe is the biggest and most famous ice cream maker and storage in Venezuela. So there's one store in Altamira, is the place in Caracas, and they have a special phone just to do that. So these Crip phones, these inexpensive phones, are already being used to do this. Actually, a funny fact is that in Dash Help, we provide support on WhatsApp as well. And we use a K5, which is an exclusive phone to provide support through the Dash Help Support Center. Now, even though that's a great solution, we've been working with ElectroPay, as you may know, and very soon we're going to have the initial devices here in Venezuela. We're working together right now integrating Dash Text. As soon as Dash Text is integrated for those ElectroPay devices, we're going to be bringing them here, and we're going to be partnering with the merchants that have most volume and installing those devices, and they just make it all a lot more pretty. Those things are going to be awesome.
Excellent. Well, talking of applications, I've seen we just had another guest enter, John Kindle, who's also from Dash Core. And while we're talking about Crypt mobile phones, he was instrumental in partnering with discoverdash.com as well and bringing that app out, because that was recent news as well, not just Dash Text, but also the Discover Dash mobile app, now available on the Google Play Store, is being pushed out to all 66,000 phones. And I'm guessing from all new phones sent out to distributors will have it preloaded as well. So, John, you're on mute at the moment, but how you there?
Evening, everyone. Evening. Yeah, I was just working on some stuff. I saw a note from Alex, and this seemed like a cool live podcast. So, hey, why not? Might as well jump on.
Yeah, it's getting crowded in here.
Right. So, Alex, you must be getting jealous because we're talking about all these apps on mobile phones, on cryptos and stuff, but you're working on the biggest app of them all, the Dash Pay app, right? Well, and that's going to go worldwide, baby.
No pressure, by the way.
just to get back to the previous one, I'm not sure I understood that correctly, but if we are talking about having the Android app that receive the fund, you clearly don't want to just turn it on for someone to scan. Like, it's suddenly something that is too much valuable for people to even risk it. So you actually would need another app that would do the bridge between that or something without the fund, like in watch only mode. Not sure if the Android app does it, but yeah, just so we can be sure, you have to be careful on that one. And yeah, Dash Pay. What was the question?
When Evo? When Dash Pay? No, I'm joking. We're not going to.
When Evo?
I'm not going to bust your balls on that just yet.
No, I mean, already, like always, it's already coming. Just look at GitHub, and yeah, no, it's
there was some
going great
rumblings today though that 0.13 is like just. I mean, we keep hearing it, but like apparently it's just there. We had some news update.
Someone else in the core team, they said the exact same thing when you say like, when's it going to be out? And they're like, well, just watch GitHub. For the noobs at home, the people that don't know anything, how in this case should we watch GitHub? Where on GitHub should we watch?
And that's when you guys do the part of the job. We do the job up to GitHub, then you take from GitHub to explaining, and then etc. etc.
Yeah,
I was trying to get you to do my job. I'm sorry, but we do have a new inductee into the Christmas Hall of Fame here. Rodrigo, how's it going?
Hey, everybody. How are you? Thanks for the invite, Joel.
No problem.
So Dash Brazil in the house.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
We're super international today. We've got everyone from across the pond, everywhere. So,
hi, galera.
Now, you guys all met recently at the Dash Colombia conference, which I believe George organized. When I say you guys, I'm talking about Lorenzo, Rodrigo, and George, of course. So have you guys got any more events or like collaborations coming up that you want to share with the community?
Well, I was actually going to go with Rodrigo to La BitConf, and thankfully Rodrigo was able to go. I wasn't able to go, many things here, and the Dash price crashed, but hopefully we'll meet again at Acapulco, hopefully. So yeah, definitely looking forward to doing more stuff together, man. Recording some videos, giving some conferences.
Yeah, my last event was now La BitConf in Chile, which was a huge event. The biggest names in crypto, from Andreas Antonopoulos to Adam Back, a couple other core developers, Zoko from Zcash, all these CEOs from the entire Latin America. A really cool event. Myself, I was totally broke. I almost didn't go because of money. I ended up actually partnering with Danny from the Crypto Show, so we were actually able to share room over there. We were eating on the cheapest pizza place that we could because it was a tough times. Dash at $65 less than that, And but I actually record about 15 interviews, most of them in Portuguese, but there's one with Jose from Bitso as well, from Mexico, talking about Dash, and some more. But I still have some time to do the editing, so you guys be able to see those up and running pretty soon.
What was the sentiment like at the conference? Because you're there rocking your Dash gear. You do great interviews, even with people outside the Dash ecosystem, but you always find a really good way of getting, it's like a Dash News article where you always find a way of getting Dash, tying it in, whatever news it is, we'll try and tie it. So you do a really good job. But like, what was the sentiment that you got from talking to people on the ground? Do you think people are starting to take more notice of Dash, or are people just sticking in their own lanes?
No, definitely. There's always talking about Dash on events like this. We always set the foot, especially when I set up a studio. I have the cameras, I have lights. People want to know what's happening. Danny, the same thing. He pulled his banner, the crypto show. He actually ended up getting an interview with Andreas Antonopoulos, which I missed out big time on that one. He's on my list of someone to interview, but maybe next time. Overall, the conference was extremely formative. Attendance was okay comparing to the year before when Dash was Bitcoin was $12,000. A lot of talk about price as well, but whoever was the main speakers there was very positive about the project, and we're trying to believe we're here for the technology, not for the money. But it was tough times. One of the examples was Consensus. They had a booth there on day one of the conference. It was a 4 days conference. They got an email saying that most of the people were getting laid off. Next day, the guys didn't even show up on the booth. They pay a lot of money to have the booth there, one of the largest Consensus booth, and it was empty the whole time because the guys, they were let go at the conference and they never even showed up again.
I read about it, man. That was crazy.
Ooh. I want to know when we're going to start seeing Dash accepting businesses in Brazil, because we've got plenty of exchanges there now in Brazil that have Dash trading pairs. And you're based in the States though now, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we do like a base, like a force of someone on the ground in Brazil. We have actually 16 exchanges now accepting Dash. On my channel, most of the requests are it's a different market. Brazil has a higher economy than Venezuela and Colombia and Argentina, so people are more focused on trading and making money and not really, using Dash as a payment system or for example, in Venezuela, on a daily basis to keep the least amount of money you have from fiat. We do. Go ahead, George.
Sorry, Rod. But I was just going to say, we've got our first 4 merchants in Sao Paulo, thanks to Rod connecting me with
Ezequiel.
Yeah, who is leading things in Sao Paulo. So we got it. Yeah. Sorry, Rod.
Yeah, we do like someone on the ground doing what George is doing, going door to door and say, hey, by the way, we have this new payment system in town. It's called Dash. You have to download this and you can start using it. It's got to bring more customers to your business. So that definitely, this is a model that's been working great in Colombia, as you can see. I think you guys reached 330 merchants in 1 year. That we do need something like this in Brazil as well.
Excellent. Right, and we've just been joined by Brian. How's it going, Brian? Is that Brian Foster? Is that correct?
Yes. How you doing?
Hey, I don't believe we've met before.
No, we have not spoken, but I've seen a few of your work.
Excellent. So just for those in the community that are unfamiliar with you, you're Dash Core, right? You're Dash Core Group, and you're a developer, correct?
I'm in Dash Core Group. I started out as a Scrum Master on the mobile wallet team, and now I'm serving as the front-end product owner for the wallets.
Nice.
And what is a Scrum Master? What does that mean?
I help support the development teams through their sprints in an agile role.
And what is agile? No, I'm just kidding.
But oh, great. Well, thank you for joining us. Well, so we got lots of people that are specialized in building applications here, which is always good to have. So, Alex, a lot has changed in the Dash Core Group in 2018. The team's a lot bigger. You're a lot more focused, dedicated. We've got the big reveal
6 hours a night sleep.
Just coming up, just past Christmas. Evolution, the Dash app is just around the corner, but we don't want to play down 0.13 at all, because a lot of the cool features are in that. So a lot of people have the vision of Dash Pay being the pinnacle, but 0.13 actually really builds a lot of that foundation. But so 2018 for Dash Core Group is very different from 2017, and also the teams have moved about as well. How do you feel about Dash Core Group in terms of things like team? We've seen people come, we've seen people go. For the community that don't see the inside, can you just kind of let them know what's going on in general?
Yeah. So we had a lot of people coming in 2018, but a couple of us are here since way longer. Like John, for instance, was even before me, right? Then so you start to really build a sense of family. Somewhat, I don't really know to explain, but yeah, each time I'm seeing Anton, for instance, or Ivan, or it's really like a big family from everywhere. We still get to talk weekly on Hangout, talk within each other on Slack. Like, yeah, it's really something totally different than what you could expect in any kind of IT company, for instance. Like, I think a lot of it is also part of the fact that we are like all freelancer uniting together in order to create something. There is not the pain of building something that is going against your ethic. Like, I don't know, working for Facebook, for instance. So I mean, it's really hard to, like, you would really need to do something in order to create a bad atmosphere, right? It's like you are all in your kind of ikigai places individually, maybe not all, but yeah, mostly. And I think what really has been quite hard has been obviously all the work spent, but the market didn't make us a favor in order to expand on really doing everything we planned to do. There is a lot of stuff that we just had to remove. Copay is one of the example. So obviously that impact a little bit, but in the same way we are so focused on delivering all these pieces, which we already do. Like, again, one evolution, we're already there. Slowly, obviously, I know, like, iteratively it's hard to see it, but it's clearly there. We are working on top of it already, and DashPay is at this phase now. The interaction between contacts, etc., are on top of evolution. So yeah, everything good. 2018 was really a big year, awesome year. For just looking at us 1 year in the past and see the progress really that have been made, not only for Core. I'm really like, and every one of us here is one example of every bit of small parts that have been done, and it's really all that small parts that makes together really something great. So 2018, despite the price, despite whatever, have been fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I've seen something that's very interesting is, I mean, I just got a bunch of people messaging me on LinkedIn saying, congratulations on your 2-year anniversary for working for Dashforce. Like, oh, it's been that long already. Okay. And I've seen through the years, in the beginning, it was the core team and a couple people running meetups. And then it grew, and then Dashforce was like the first one that stuck around. But there was a bunch of other groups that came in. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to have a big budget. We're going to do that. And then they just kind of fall away. But this is the 1 year where there's a few professional teams that are not just the core team, other teams too, that are still there and still working hard and still making professional level progress. And I'm seeing they're starting to work with each other. There's like a lot of cooperation. It used to be everyone kind of did their own thing. And now it's like, all right, well, Dashforce is working with the core team on stuff like, for example, PR, and then there's Discover Dash and stuff like that. And then you got, and then the Venezuelan teams are working with Discover Dash, with Dashforce with this. And then Eugenia's team doing the whole with business development. It's all working together finally. And that's one of those things that was most frustrating about Dash in the past is you had all these people, you had like very few, you had a relatively few groups that were doing solid work, and almost no one was really working with each other. Now you have a lot of really great teams doing a lot of great work, and they're all working with each other. So what can't we accomplish?
The governance system of this year was a really good example on that. Like previous year, we the masternode tends to fund basically everything, right? Then there was a start of starting to analyze, to calculate, to evaluate if this really worth it or not. Like it just kept maturing the whole year. Obviously, it can be still linked to many things, but really it has been totally different. Like Dash Watch or all these project Dash routes. Like there is ton of projects centered around it that help sometimes Mastodon making that decision, or the experience probably too. I mean, there is probably some the whole ATM runaway. Like it makes people maturing, I hope, and yeah, that's only some good element to have in the future. Yeah, I mean, everything is perfect.
Okay, I just want to switch over to John Kindle. So for those that don't know, John is a developer, but he's now working with the biz dev team. So now if there's any integrations in terms of partnerships, John's sort of the go-to guy. That's correct, John? Is that right?
It is, yeah. Yeah, like my role in Dash really is to kind of bridge that gap between, okay, we have the technology on one side, how do we use it? I mean, so on the other side of that equation are really like a whole spectrum of people. So exchanges, it could be someone who wants to get involved in e-commerce, anyone who really wants to, really actively use that technology. So yeah, I try to wear the, or like assume the, I guess, jack of all trades type of role in that regard, where I can do a little bit of dev stuff, I can do a little bit of system stuff, and I think what we really try to do on the biz dev team is try to, I guess, introduce a lot of this technology to people who might not be as aware of what Dash is, what makes Dash different. So it's kind of just speaking with a lot of different people from a lot of different frames of reference, I suppose. I guess, like when it comes to that stuff.
So I'm trying to picture your role here. So say, for example, a very big exchange, hopefully one that's connected and using BitGo, because we paid a lot of money for that, gets in connection with Bradley. And it's like, hey, we want to integrate Dash. Then Bradley turns around to you saying, hey, we've got this big exchange. They want to integrate Dash. And then you, as having the developer know-how and connections to the developers in the core team, can evaluate what's needed. And then I guess you kind of make a scope of work and make that happen. Is that how it works?
Kind of. So, I mean, my job kind of requires me to kind of do a couple of things. So for that first meeting where we're just talking about the idea of adding Dash, usually I need to convey those technical things in a way that the common layperson or like the higher level type of that exchange or, whatever type of business it might be kind of operates within. From that, assuming that we're all on board with the idea of integrating Dash, or maybe we're adding Instant Send, or looking forward to all the new stuff that we're adding. We then kind of move that on to kind of a next step meeting, where generally I'll meet with like a like a CTO or a tech lead, where then at that point we're kind of operating on the same wavelength, and so at that point we're we just kind of go through the various technical aspects. Depending on the integration, we might set up a Slack channel. And then really my role moving forward isn't so much, creating the scope of work documents. It's more to act as like a trusted advisor and someone that they can bring various questions to, so that they don't have to figure out all this stuff from scratch. I can kind of help to point them in the right direction.
One of the frustrations I've had is there's so many services out there that support Dash, but they all do it in the laziest way possible, where they just support Dash as like another Bitcoin clone. They don't recognize instant send transactions. That's the big one. And I was talking to Codablock about that and about the challenges of you can't just make everyone integrate the right way, because then a lot of people just get lazy and Dash is too hard, we don't do it. You don't want that. But then people will go to the easiest possible way and just say, all right, just make it work. And then you see instant send to, like, say, a Coinomi wallet or something. And it just shows up as unconfirmed. And it's like Dash's best features are just buried because they won't fully integrate it. What do you think can be done about that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting challenge because it's not like we work in a franchise system where each of these people are like a franchisee and we have some form of muscle over them or anything like that. It's almost more that we have to make it in their best interest. So we kind of do that in a couple ways. When we're speaking with a exchange, due to the fact that we don't have a way to force them to add instant send, we can say things like, and if you add the instant send feature, then we can co-promote you using Twitter or things like that. So there's kind of that angle of it. And then what I try to do from the tech side of things, I guess, is make it as easy as possible. Because, I mean, like, we certainly don't want any roadblocks when it comes to actually integrating instant send. So kind of my role is to create various documents, and more so just kind of explain those documents in a way that makes sense. There's like, I can also agree on this, I hate to call it laziness. It's almost more like prioritization from the perspective of the partners who's integrating. So, I think our job on the biz dev side is just to kind of help them see the whole equation and then to be able to make that judgment on whether it's a good thing to add instant send. And nine times out of 10 it ends up being a yes. We just kind of have to help them out a little bit.
So say Mark and I launch a successful Twitter roasting campaign against a service or something that does not have instant send. It says, oh, you're terrible. You need to, no, obviously being much nicer than that, but still being like, why don't you integrate instant send? You can just confirm. I'm tired of having to wait so long for my deposits confirmed. You just have to do this. And then they say, all right. We didn't know. We just did the automatic thing. We prioritized our we prioritized. What do we do now? And so what do I do then? Do I just say, give them your email? Where do we point them in your direction where you or your work can help them quickly solve the issue so they don't get Twitter roasted again?
Totally. So what I would recommend is to simply keep, I guess, a list of ideal candidates for instant send integration. And if you could send that over to either myself or to Omar Hamley with the biz dev team, that would kind of give us a wrinkle that we could reach out to them and maybe. I'm always kind of a positive person, so I like to approach these types of things. I think with there's a saying that you'll catch more flies with honey than you will with vinegar, and so I guess that's kind of the angle that I like to take with
what about roasted honey?
In the, crypto space.
I roasted.
Roasted honey is the best.
Oh, Lorenzo, I've got a question for you. So it was big news about the live transaction tracker, which is going to be showing some of the merchants, right? So when does that go live and when can people see that? Because there's been a lot of interest in that.
Yeah, man, it's coming very soon. Early January, we're going to publish it. It's going to be a very nice, easy to absorb interface where you're going to be able to see transactions per day, transactions per week, transactions last month, and even a counter of the hashes of the transactions so that people can actually go into a block explorer and know how many transactions are going through our POS system. So, gives a lot more transparency. And yeah, we wanted to do it big. I know many people have been asking about it for quite some time, but we wanted to make it, as polished as possible so that people can actually click on stuff, watch those transactions, not just get a random number there that you don't know where it comes from. So early January, we're going to be publishing it, with its URL and stuff, and everyone will be able to easily get there and see what's going on every single day. Yeah,
that's going to be a really big help because although Dash, in terms of merchant adoption, has been doing phenomenal, I noticed initially it started with, I wouldn't say trolls or fudsters, but they were just saying, yeah, but how many people are spending Dash at those locations? And then I also noticed then journalists started to ask those questions and follow up on it as well. So it really, really does help. So that's going to play a really big role. But we do need to be pretty clear on this, because although if people say, okay, look, there's over 2,500 merchants on discoverdash.com, they're not all using the same point of sale solutions. So this only shows for one of them, but I believe it is the majority of the merchants, correct?
Yeah, the majority of them are using our QRCR powered Dash Merchant POS system, you know. However, it's important that people understand and how this kind of processes work. You know, we have the chicken and an egg situation here, and things don't happen overnight. So yeah, there are 2,500 merchants, and the number of daily transactions right now is around 70 to 90 transactions per day, which is actually pretty good. But if you compare to 2,500 merchants, you would expect much more. But the thing is this: if you want to incentivize, as we have laid out in our strategy for adoption, first you need the merchants. You know, you need to have a variety of merchants so that someone who actually gets Dash has the confidence that they can get most of what they need in Dash. Because if not, if I can only get a couple things with Dash and then I have to use the fiat currency for everything else, then the incentive for me to actually go and get Dash is not so big. So getting the merchants is very big. And you know, there are actually other companies here in Venezuela that have developed payment solutions with fiat, who are still in fiat, but with your mobile phone and stuff. And they, even though they're fiat, they don't have as many transactions as they have businesses, because the first step is to get as much businesses as possible. Then you have getting Dash into people's hands, you know, which is actually something that we're working a lot on. Is the second step of our strategy for adoption, you know, and we're working on that in many ways. One of the coolest things that is coming is our alliance with BitNovo, you know, so they're easily going to be able to send remittances from Europe, and you can easily receive them in your Dash Text wallet right here. And then incentivizing the consumption, which is something more of a marketing work, but that we're doing a lot with our what we call activation sites, with discounts and having our teams there giving advice to people, easily getting them to promoting the spending of Dash. So this is a slow process, you know, but slowly it grows every single day. With a transactions tracker, you're going to be able to see how much is going through. But you know, haters are always going to hate. You know, there are many people who are, especially BTC fanatics, you know, and trolls, and they love to do that kind of stuff. You know, like for example, recently I saw a video in which there's a Papa John's in which they have a mobile phone to receive payments, and so it just so happens that they went there and the manager had taken the phone. We don't know why they took it, but for a brief moment, they were able to accept payments. So they start hating. But then when you speak with the guy who, with the cashier, he says, hey, yeah, every single weekend we receive 4 or 5 people here making transactions. So, you know, the transactions are there, but, you know, haters are going to hate. I honestly believe that haters actually help, you know. They speak about it, and they just, any publicity is good publicity. You know, we're no worry about haters. The work is there. Anyone in Venezuela, I invite anyone anywhere in the country to come here. We'll take you out to dinner. We'll buy some stuff, or you can do it all yourself without talking to businesses. And 99% of the times you're gonna be able to buy your stuff with Dash. And if not, it's because of some eventuality, you know, like maybe they don't have internet at a certain point in time or that kind of stuff, which are things that happens, you know. So I'm not really worried about those kind of reports, because nothing is perfect. Sometimes tools, internet goes wrong, or maybe they have a new employee and he hasn't learned specifically what it has to do. We have a quality team which we are expanding that makes sure to do regular visits to merchants to train their new personnel and stuff. But then again, as more merchants you have, it gets a lot more tiresome. So yeah,
this was one of the things that I noticed when I was there in Venezuela. Was either everybody had a QR code printed, but sooner or later people can find out, you know, that you can see your balance, or they had to buy a cell phone or a tablet or entire laptop just to accept crypto. In Colombia now, we saw 2 girls there. They're on the hamburger place. They had a broken cell phone, but you could read the QR code. So the owner let them use the broken cell phone just as a payment unit. That actually was one of the ideas that brought to me on my experience to come up with this ElectroPay, you know, really simple, cheap device that we're working on.
I spoke about it just briefly. You entered just when I have finished speaking a little bit about it. So yeah,
Sorry.
No, it's okay, man. It's great. I was telling that very soon we're going to be having the initial devices here. We're going to be putting them on some of the most important merchants. You know, there's a merchant called Susie Cookies, which is a big franchise of cookies here in Venezuela, in which Dash has gotten so popular there that they actually put a second computer just so you can pay in Dash, and you don't have to do the row. You know, it's so popular. Those cookies are so delicious that there's usually 10 to 15 people in a row waiting to pay in fiat there. And if you have Dash, you can easily go there and skip the row, you know, and just pay directly without having to wait. So it's one of the biggest success stories, you know, and they're so happy with it that they actually put a second computer just so that they could charge in Dash. So that's
I've got one potential issue with the live transaction tracker.
Yeah.
And Mastermind here, I think, is probably the most privacy-focused person, because that's what initially attracted him to Xcoin and Darkcoin initially, right? So if the live transaction tracker is an overall average of the transactions on the daily basis is okay, but I'm worried about data and privacy. I'm happy to be able to see that data because it validates what you're doing and we can see what's happening there. But at the same time, I'm thinking about data and privacy, especially being in Europe right now. Alex took off his yellow vest just before he joined the call. There's all kinds of commotion going on right now, and I don't think Alex got that. Oh, he did. Okay. So like, can you see what I'm saying? Because like a merchant saying, well, I don't want people knowing how many transactions I'm doing in Dash a day. But if it's overall and it's just like everyone that's using that POS solution, that's great. Does anyone have any thoughts on that in terms of privacy?
Yeah, that's a great question, you know, and we actually we have gotten some questions about it, and we actually responded that the transaction tracker will give you an overall, and you can see how many exact transactions have happened in one day, in 1 week, or in 1 month, but not in which specific merchant. Now, if a merchant wants to use that data, you know, because they're proud of it and they want to promote it and they want to use it as marketing, like we receive 100 Dash transactions every week. If they want to do that, that is their choice. But in our transaction tracker, you won't be able to see how many transactions, for example, Susie Cookies has, because that's a privacy concern of that business. Even though the POS solution uses dynamic addresses, so it's not like you will be able to track how many transactions are they receiving, because every single transaction goes to a different address of the same wallet of the merchant. Even so, we don't think it's correct to show for every specific merchant how many transactions are they specifically receiving without their consent. So yeah, we are working with them, and I'm sure many of them will want to boast about it, you know, but it's going to be specific cases. You won't be able to have a detailed on what each of them is doing because it's a privacy concern.
This is actually a really big thing, and I think Evan kind of actually addressed this. So I'm going to address this particular issue to both Alex and George, and if you can take this one. So that Lorenzo's raised a really interesting issue here, because when we first started speaking about Dash Evolution, and the first comparison was against PayPal, and they were just saying, well, how are you going to be better than PayPal? And they were just saying, well, even we'll beat them by offering particularly merchants on the business side extra added value by showing them insights. And I don't think we've done that on the merchant side. So when you was talking about those kind of insights then, by giving merchants not just the ability to accept Dash, but behind the scenes, see how much Dash they can break it down by week, by month. Maybe we can get some kind of accountings on it, make their life easier. I mean, Alex, Evolution, we can kind of build that stuff in. I guess people can build dApps and they can be one of the plug-in options, all this sort of stuff. I don't really think we're at that stage of point of sale things, but it's actually helping the merchants, making their jobs easier, and they can report to their higher up saying like, hey, look, we've got like an automated report. What do you think?
Well, I'm actually not sure you need a dApps for that. I don't know, maybe for the payment only. Like if you want, a recurring payment for the service of analytics, you would pay that maybe via dApps. But I would expect this information to either be already public, like in the chain, and some information would be cross-checked against some private owned, server owned by the company you are paying so basically the developer of the dApps. But yeah, I don't see like the thing is you still have a fee on setting up some data or metadata, whatever you decide to do. So you don't want to do everything as a dApp. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Here's an idea, right? Obviously, we get transaction data that's public, and if you kind of you can kind of anonymously collect some of that data of like, oh, this many transactions, this many this. Imagine being able to have like a point of sale system that gives some extra data on there that, for example, this was a coffee purchase. It doesn't say where it was in the world, which merchant, whatever, just that a transaction, there you go. And then you start to be able to collect massive consumer data without actually compromising the privacy of the merchant or the consumer, to where you say like, in the country of Venezuela, this many coffees were bought on this Sunday, and you start correlating this, and this is the average cost of a Dash Pay coffee versus this. And a lot of big companies pay a lot of money for market research and consumer data, and there's a lot of privacy breaching that happens in that whole process. And so, for example, I believe MasterCard and Google entered into a data sharing scheme to basically, because Google gets all like the transaction data for buying stuff online, but then when you go out in the world, start swiping your card, it goes dark. They don't know about that, and so they're just now sharing it. So then they know what you buy at all times. So being able to have some kind of collect thing without so many.
You don't have that many information in this case. Like with a transaction, even the fact that it's on public, you issue linking to the person in the first place. I mean, depending on the way they did, if it's one public address and everyone knows that address because they share it on, a Twitter profile, well, then yeah, obviously, but except that, because of past derivation, you end up not identifying which is the guy, meaning that in order to know what is the socio category of that person, thing you want to know, maybe like who is buying, is it the youth or the elderly? Have more information in-house with your own webcam, buying the guy's computer and being able to had 20 whatever. We much marketer analytics with that in this part, and I'm happy with that actually. So yeah, you just basically have the basic information, and yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's treading a really thin line to start collecting information about what people are spending their Dash on. And also it would, at the retail side, the person attending would have to now not just enter the amount of Dash or the amount of money that they're going to charge, but also what is it, right? So that's an obstacle on the retail side, and I think that has the potential to tread on our promise of privacy.
Okay, George, but you're on the ground, you're onboarding businesses, so it's all about adding extra value. If we look what's in the legacy world now, what big franchises, restaurants, pubs, bars, coffee shops are using, they're using kind of point of sale solutions that are very, graphic user interfaces. Traditionally in the pub where I'm from, at the end of the day, they cash up all the fiat money to see how much they got, so they can mark the books to see how much money they got, right? Now, once you start getting into like the franchise and the bigger businesses, they have these solutions where they're using these POS things. So at the end of the day, the manager can come in, they can see how many purchases that they've made. But my point being is not so much the data privacy on the live transaction tracker, it's about adding extra value in the point of sale solution. So we can just compete with not just other things in the crypto space, but other point of sale solutions that they're already using and they're already accustomed to. So if we can add extra value that makes their accounting easier or reports.
Mark, we actually do this, and I want to give props to Hans, which is the developer of QRCR, which we have worked together with him to make the Dash Merchant POS system that works here in Venezuela, which is powered by QRCR, because it offers that kind of data to the merchant. So right now, I don't know if you've seen it in the videos, when someone is using our POS solution to purchase something, they have the option to input 2 additional parameters. One is the receipt number, which is something that merchants use a lot here for control and for accounting purposes, and also a reference, which is what is it that you're selling. So it's a cup of coffee, is it a pair of shoes? So they have the option to do that. They don't necessarily have to, but if they do, then when they log in into their business account side of the POS system, which only the manager has access to, they can see the history of transactions, how many Dash they charge for what purchase, what is the receipt number, what is the equivalent in Bolivares at the time that the purchase was made, at what exchange rate was it made. And we want to expand those features to include long-term statistics. So, and that does not violate any kind of privacy, because that is something that is not on the blockchain. It's not something that you have to make public. It's just something that's part of the system.
And it's optional, right?
It's optional, and then the merchant logs in with their own credentials. Is something that is just for them. And as we were talking about, when we're talking about big franchises, that kind of stuff is necessary. So there is one big franchise we're working on. I'm not going to say which one,
McDonald's.
So not to get into trouble. But
you do have a McDonald's and a Burger King there, though, right? Don't you? You've got loads of franchises.
But what they're doing is, and what we are working with them to do is to have their actual the system that they use right now, their accounting system that their cashiers use, will be able to get a plug-in to our POS system, so that their employees don't have to use a separate system or log out and open a website. No, they are creating inside their system a special button that you will be able to click inside their already existing system, which will open up a web app so that they can charge in Dash. So it's easily integrated into the system that they already have. So those things are very important to give, especially for employees. We were talking with one of the general managers of one of these franchises, and he was like so passionate about Dash. But when it came to the operative side, he said, to our employees, we're not going to tell them anything about this whole blockchain stuff and any of that. I just want them to know how to do it. And this is the way we're going to do it, because some employees just need easy to follow steps so that they're able to do their job correctly. So yeah, I'm definitely up for that kind of solutions, so long as privacy is respected, and it's an optional thing that merchants can do. Merchants are able to receive Dash in their own phone wallets if they want, and many kiosks do that. But if you go to a big franchise, you have to provide them with enterprise solutions that actually satisfy their needs.
Well, I'm going to throw this back to George then, because surely if you speak to a merchant and you're onboarding them and you're saying, here's the POS solution, but free at no extra expense, if you integrate this, you can get extra insights. You can opt in to get extra insights that show you what are your busiest hours of the day, what's your busiest day in terms of business. You can get all that extra information. Like, surely that's going to help you onboard merchants more easily.
I think it's an interesting idea. What I understood was we were talking about integrating that information into like a transaction tracker, and so we could say how many coffees were sold today in Venezuela with Dash, which I think is treading on a thin line.
Yeah.
But I think I think what Lorenzo describes of being able to integrate the Dash point of sale system, whichever one it might be, into their existing tracking systems, I think that's quite interesting. That could be quite useful. But if Kodak said to me, George, do you think it's a good idea that like I get into the business of being a full point of sale that tracks all this data? I would be like, I don't know about that. I don't know if Dash wants to go into that business, but if we wanted to go into the business of integrating what we have, as Lorenzo described, I think that sounds quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if most of the POS solutions did a partnership with Node 40? Because it makes the business owners' lives more easier. If we can make their well, I hate to say tax, but if we can make their lives easier by summarizing their reports and making their doing their taxes on their business a lot more straightforward, that's extra added value at no extra cost, and that gives us an advantage over other competitors. You can say you can use this solution and accept loads of other cryptocurrencies, fine. But if you use this, you get all these enterprise extra goodies that make your life so much easier. And that extra added value, I think could really propel Dash forward a lot more. And it's restricted to just the merchant, right? So I just want to make that clear. So that, for me, that's how we become more professional. And it's not, I'm taking a look that I don't want to just beat the other cryptocurrencies in the space, because they're not even, they're behind us in terms of merchant adoption. We need to be better than the legacy-based systems that they're using right now. So we need to offer the solutions that they offer, but more, and at no expense, because a lot of these POS solutions that they're using in the legacy world now with fiat currency, they're having to pay sometimes monthly fees to use that and get access to this data. If we can provide this to them for free, it's another leg up for Dash.
Yeah. Hey,
Totally.
what is the legality of the merchants in Colombia, Venezuela selling the Dash themselves, like back to people who want it? Is that, I know there's like money transmitter stuff here in the States.
There's no laws in Colombia around crypto, so people buy and sell freely. If it gets to the point where it's going to become big, I'll have my lawyer research it. But I've already had him and a couple of accountants research, and I mean, there's no laws on it in Colombia. So
don't you offer to buy back from the merchants?
Sure.
Dash? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, in our case, you know, in Venezuela, there are actually this last year, the government has laid out an increasingly broad legal framework regarding cryptocurrency. And one of the biggest things that it's a barrier for people, even though we provide all this education through Dash Help and through our merchant assessment team, is the way with exchanges, you know? So logging into an exchange, doing the KYC, doing all that, it's a strong barrier. Now, if you as an institution want to sell and buy Dash from people, you need a special license. So we cannot do that at scale. However, what is legal is to peer-to-peer, you know, as in person-to-person, buy and sell Dash directly. So we are targeting this in a very smart way, because Venezuelans have been doing peer-to-peer transactions with US dollars for years, since the exchange controls have been in place since 2002. Everyone is just using different ways of communicating, then social media, then WhatsApp groups, Instagram stories. So every time I open my WhatsApp or Instagram stories, there's someone selling US dollars or buying US dollars. So that kind of market for Dash can I mean, the market for US dollars that people are already used to do that can be replicated with Dash, and it makes it easier. So there are actually some people who have WhatsApp numbers who sell or buy Dash, and we have been able to, you know, very mildly promote them in special places. Like, for example, in the university, there's a university, a technological university called the Universidad Simón Bolívar. I graduated from that university, and there's a beautiful ecosystem there. We actually own a business inside the university, which was the first one accepting Dash inside. And now almost all the merchants inside that university accept Dash. So for many students right now, buying Dash is like buying a university currency. You know, I buy Dash and I can pay most everything I need inside the university. So now there are students which are in partnership with us through the Dash Youth proposal, you know, and the Dash Active agents, and some of them peer-to-peer sell Dash to students. So, for example, in our business, which we actually sell photocopies, you know, copies for all the different tramits that people have to do, they have 50% discount if they pay in Dash. And, you know, it has been a total success. So that peer-to-peer, you know, exchange through the active agents is actually increasing and going to be very important. Now, of course, I would prefer if those regulations wouldn't be in place. So then I could do what George is doing, offering merchants at scale to buy back their Dash. But if I don't have a license, I could get in trouble with the government for doing that kind of stuff. So partnering with exchanges is something that we're actually doing as well. But the KYC kills people, man. It's a very strong barrier. So I believe right now the peer-to-peer solutions with the Dash Youth and the Dash Active agents is going to be pretty big.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to bring in Rodrigo here, because he's been working on a solution, ElectroPay. And this is very unique, and I don't think many people watching this will know. So if I'm getting this wrong, Rodrigo, please correct me. But with the device itself, not only does it enable merchants to accept payments, but it will also enable the functionality for merchants to be able to sell Dash as well. So we know liquidity has been an issue in Venezuela where people talk about, oh, how do people buy it and all that stuff. Essentially, this will enable all merchants using that solution to sell Dash as well. It prints out a receipt with a QR code. Is that correct?
Correct. So, well, a few things there. Things do not work as fast as we wanted to inside our minds. So, generating a QR code is more complicated, which I'm not a developer. So, Kameda is the one working on this. But at this point, we ended up buying an exchange in Brazil. And we got all the technology from the servers to run all the blockchains and generate the wallets in order to make this possible. And this is going to take probably another month and a half to actually work. But yeah, the idea is that every POS unit, which is like the lowest cost, we're trying to sell this as possible, will be able to generate the private key, and the merchant will be able to sell Dash back to the consumer. But this involves several layers of security in the server as well, and also generating the QR codes and the wallets. How this is done, I have no idea. This is beyond me. Lorenzo talked to Kameda as well, so he can probably explain this better than me. But it is possible. It will be possible. But at this point, we're working on the server architecture to make this happen.
Because these units are very, maybe expensive for Venezuela, but in terms for us and what people are paying in the Western world, they're very well. I know you said because you quoted to me in private chats how much you think they were, but I don't know if the price has changed since then. Are we allowed to say how much?
Yeah, we are. So per our calculations, without shipping, if we order 5,000 units, which Kameda will have to actually stop the production from his factory to cut the aluminum and the plexiglass for all this, to order 5,000 units will cost about $40 per unit.
And there's two different models, correct?
One with the printer, one without the printer. But the one without the printer, apparently nobody wants.
Well, I guess it makes sense, because if you're working in a restaurant, for example, and you want to give someone their receipt, it makes sense. And I guess it's where it's a bit different. I guess not a lot of people want to do business expenses, but in cases like this, receipts do kind of play a role, I guess. So, yeah.
Those prices are actually super cheap here in Venezuela as well. So the business of selling POS devices here in Venezuela, it's an extremely lucrative business. Because this is a cashless society, remember that. So people don't have cash. You cannot pay in cash. When you see those pictures with the mountains of cash, that is just to tell you how much cash you would need to pay for something. But that cash is not available. No one can get that much bills.
Yeah, but Lorenzo, is ElectroPay Dash text enabled? Because it's all cool having a QR code scanner.
It will be. Lorenzo said it's possible.
I'm sweating you now. If it doesn't have Dash text, I'm not happy.
Well, one of the things, the business model that we wanted to adapt as well is, for example, any proposal owner from any country will be able to say, hey, present a proposal on themselves and say, hey, we want to buy 1,000 units, 5,000. I mean, the more units we make, the cheaper it gets, right? To make 10 units will cost about $125 per unit, right? But any proposal owner will be able, from the region, will be able to actually contact us and say, hey, this is the quote. We send it to you. You want 1,000 units, 2,000 units. It's going to take 2 months, 1 month to get it done. And they can present the proposal to the treasury. One of the business models that we're trying to implement in Brazil is where the exchanges will pay for this. So this is something that we're dealing with a few exchanges. We might have an order of one exchange already for 2,000 units, which actually will come with the logo of the exchange and will be a multi-coin POS. Kameda managed, this guy's a genius. He managed to do the plexiglass touch screen. So you can actually select the logo of crypto you want by touching the plastic. How he did that, I have no idea. But then the exchange will buy this. And they will be the ones distributing to whatever merchants they already have a list of it, right? And the incentive is that, the POS is got to be connected to the exchange. So each merchant will be exchanging their crypto to fiat inside the specific exchange. And that's why the exchange will be the one buying this. In a way, the exchanges we've been talking to, they all like the idea because it will cost them about $40-50 to actually bring a new customer, which is a business that will be providing them crypto in order for them to either provide the merchant back with fiat, or you can be able to switch, like you want to, every transaction you want to keep 20% fiat and 80% crypto, and this will be up to each merchant.
So it's not Dash exclusive then. So is there going to be a model that's just Dash, or all of them are going to accept a variety of coins?
There'll be a model that will be just Dash. The one that is multi-coin will be more expensive because it has more technology. The touchscreen part of it will be more expensive. But I mean, this is for the most common blockchains: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Dash, and Litecoin.
Which Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah, right. That's a perfect question, right?
Okay.
You know, I just wanted to say quickly that a typical POS device or fiat in Venezuela right now costs from $500 to $700.
Same in Brazil.
And business owners pay for that because if they don't, they're out of business because there's no cash. So that's why I just wanted to lay that down. So even if these devices cost $100, they're still cheap compared to the regular fiat POS devices they're paying for right now.
George, are you interested in these devices for Colombia? Because you've seen them in person, right?
Yes, I have. I think they're very interesting. I'm waiting to see how it develops.
It's a very diplomatic answer. Right, okay. As it's the Christmas party, let's try and be a bit more fun. So, Joel, Justin, you've been writing articles for Dash News all year. What's excited you the most in 2018, and what are you looking forward to in 2019?
I'll
give you some ideas. What would you all 36?
Hold on.
Multiple choice.
So one of my probably things that have me most excited from this year have been when I started learning more about the developments that have been coming out in the first stages of evolution, the pre stages. Oh, hi, Robert. You just
Hey guys, Merry Christmas!
Yay.
Yeah, a bunch of us here. So the thing that was probably most exciting to me personally, by a small margin, of course, because there's a big competition, was chain locks, getting Dash to be 51% attack resistant, or as I like to call it, Craig Wright proof. And that was because, I mean, honestly, if you look at just the price charts, I mean, obviously a big spike, everything went crazy last year, and then stuff started going down this year. And Bitcoin only fell off a cliff at one point recently. It just went straight down. And usually that's what other coins do. And Bitcoin's usually the more stable one. It just went just straight down because people were afraid of bad things happening to Bitcoin because of, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that contribute. But it's fair to say that there was a lot of uncertainty and unease because they thought, oh, the entire reason we've been trusting this technology for 10 years has been because we thought proof of work was secure. And then it's like, well, this one crazy guy and another crazy guy can just like turn on a bunch of machines and just destroy everything. It's like, well, how about a government? Like, what about a large corporation? How much damage could they do? It's so... there's a lot of uncertainty in the very this very secure, decentralized security cryptocurrency, and then you have chain locks. It's like, nah, it's not that easy. That was the biggest. That was the biggest, most exciting thing, and the second most was the whole instant send by default kind of thing. Because as I wrote an article, I think it was last Sunday, about instant send implementation. About it, such a great technology, but no one uses it because it's not even available on most platforms. It is starting to become a lot more common now. But for example, how long was it until there was a iPhone wallet that supported instant send? Most of Dash's history, no, it didn't even exist. It wasn't out there.
I can't wait for it to be enabled as default, man. Camera and I, which is the Camera, the guy that we were speaking about, the developer of ElectroPay, he and I were running some tests a couple weeks ago, trying to fool a POS system trying to do a double spend with regular transactions and then with instant send transactions. So we were doing all these tests, and It was difficult, but without instant send, you could be able to do it. Now, of course, if you compare that to the real world, someone can easily get into a store, grab an apple, and run. So it's not like the risk is higher than real life and something like that. The risk is very low, but it's possible. But with instant send enabled, there was no way to do it, man. The transaction that went first was the one that would be accepted, and there was no way to fool it. So I'm very excited to see instant send enabled by default in all wallets, because in our test that we conducted, it was impossible to do a double spend with instant send enabled. Now, without instant send, you could in some cases do it.
And now with as far as the special features, that's the other thing is most Dash wallets are multi-coin wallets, and most of them do the bare minimum to integrate. And so right now, if you look at the top 10 in like CoinMarketCap or top 20, it's like, first off, you got 3 Bitcoins, and then you got a Litecoin, and you got a Dash, and sometimes, you have a Dogecoin, and they all do the exact same thing, except BTC is expensive. And so why does anyone care about Dash? They don't. It's just, they talk less about it. But if in those wallets, it's like, oh, even Dogecoin, which is kind of fast, it's like Dash is instant. It's just always there. You send it, it receives, it's like right away. That's something that then people will be like, oh, I like this Dash thing. It's like fast. It's like nothing else is fast. Everything else have to wait.
Yeah, so instant send by default is in 13.0, and then chain locks is 14.0, correct?
Yes. Yeah. But I'm also looking forward to the private send improvements in 13.0 as well, because there's going to be an extra denomination, but the actual mixing process is meant to be faster as well. I think Alex is probably the most qualified to talk on this. No, okay, he's giving me the look.
No, I'm like you. It would solve me a lot of trouble right now to have big improvements so we can have private send on mobile. That's the same thing you can expect from Quantum Explorer, Samba Bossa. Like we feel that we are not so long to have that, but there is, for now we still have to work without it. I guess for me, that's probably what gets me the most excited, having the ability to do private send on mobile. Just to be able to have a tipping address, for instance. That's really what I'm expecting the most.
Okay. I just want to say hello to Robert, because Robert's joined us. I'm sure most of people watching here, but Robert is the COO of Dash Core Group, Chief Operating Officer. How's it going, Robert?
Going really good. Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone.
Excellent. What are you looking forward to most in 2019 for Dash?
Personally,
in Dash.
Yeah.
What I'm looking forward is a shift in perception that we are not a speculation anymore. I wish this for all the crypto space, that it's becoming a useful thing, a means of payments, means of computing, or anything that is being like a real life use case, not speculation anymore. If we manage to be adopted and widely used, I hope the moments like we have been observing during 2018 will never happen again. So for me, my dream is, Dash being a means of payment, not only in places like Venezuela, which is great, which is fantastic, right? We are doing really well there. But I hope that well-developed countries will start adopting Dash and possibly other cryptocurrencies as well, as it is happening in New Hampshire, for example. It's yeah, Joel. Yeah, but we are aware that it's the biggest challenge. Actually, Western countries where the financial system is going really well, that they are doing pretty well job from people's perspective. So it's really difficult to find a reason to convert to something what is new and so complicated.
Yes,
and this is the second thing I'm looking for, the simplicity we are working on. I hope that evolution will bring the simplicity and ease of use that everyone is expecting in the space.
Yes, I think it's I think that the first world is an interesting concept, because it's way easier to get crypto than in developing countries. At the same time, it's way harder. So,
Yes.
for example, I can tell anyone off the street, hey, install this app. You have a phone. Everyone has a phone. You have a phone. Install this app. Set up Uphold with your bank account, because everyone can figure that out. And then you can just buy some for a very small fee, just instant, if relatively instant like that. And then now you can spend on Bitrefill and save 10%. And there's the infrastructure is there. And also, I noticed that there's a lot of people are willing to do this out of like excitement, or you can get merchants that just want to take, like, I talked to the AnyPay folks who've been doing most of the work around here, getting merchants on board, and their number one pitch, their number one thing that works, isn't saying why it's better, but just saying that it's cool and everyone's doing it. It's cool.
Yep.
It's a cool thing, and people are like, all right, I'll invest time and effort into my business just because some guy said it's a cool thing to do, and he's wearing a top hat and a poofy shirt, so he must be on the cutting edge.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to do, but have a look at this from like high level perspective. In order to purchase something on Amazon with Bitrefill card, you have to install Dash Wallet, you have to set up an Uphold account, then you have to link your banking account, transfer money, then you can go to Bitrefill and buy your card, and then you are going to Amazon.
But that's all
Right.
about to change, though. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure it's only
it's the transition. That's why I told you I'm
Yeah.
dreaming about the time when it will be as simple as
But
PayPal or whatever. Just
gonna be-
couple of moments
gonna be
and you are having it.
But like one of the things that I'm a little bit upset about, but makes me happy to look forward towards 2019, was that I was hoping to have a Fuse X card underneath my Christmas tree, because then that Fuse X card will allow me in the Western world to spend Dash everywhere, simply, easy. Now I know that doesn't apply to everyone here because I'm jealous of the Dash adoption in Colombia, Venezuela. I think it's amazing, but I think in terms of getting people on my side of the pond involved, much greater. Even people that don't have masternodes, even people using the pooling services that get payouts, I think they're going to be much more inclined to use those to purchase things because they see that as additional Dash that they've made as, I don't want to use the word interest, but they've earned that for providing a service to the network. So they're much more happy to pay that and use that to use on goods and services. So I think the Fuse X card has so much potential. Not only is it a super duper cool card that you can hold up to 30 different cryptocurrencies on, and it's got the e-paper wallet, and I believe the battery charge on it lasts up to like 30 days as well, which is really good.
It's so cool that Ken Bozek tries to steal them.
Yeah, so purely for selfish reasons, I'm looking forward to that. I know it's not the ultimate solution because it still relies on the legacy banking world, Visa, MasterCard, but it's a stepping stone. It's that transition into a deeper world, and I think it's going to open up into a lot of things. Now, I just want to go over to Justin because I feel like we've neglected him a little bit and we missed him out. So I kind of think I know what you're going to say, but I was going to ask you what was the favorite thing that you wrote about this year? I think you're probably going to say medicinal genomics, right?
I was actually going to say something different, but yeah, I'd have to say it's, now that you mentioned that, it's probably a tie between the two. Medicinal genomics, just because that industry, the marijuana industry, is just booming like crazy, and it's awesome to see people finding applications to apply Dash to other items like medical research for marijuana and recreational research for marijuana, and just improving that whole industry that is just basically stuck in pre-1900s just because it was illegal for so long. It's becoming legal now, and it's just hit a massive, just like go 0 to 100 in 2 seconds, and Dash is going to help it get there. But the reason I was thinking, or the thing I'm looking forward to most in 2019, and probably the most successful thing 2018, or the thing I'm most happy about, is the adoption in Venezuela and Colombia, just because that's what cryptocurrency was created for. It's actually happening. Dash is letting people use it in everyday life. And you look at the other cryptocurrencies and it's just academic research, and Dash providing real value.
Don't forget airdrops.
Yeah, airdrops too.
I think Joel's t-shirt says it all.
Yep. And congratulations to the Dash Merchant Venezuela team for getting these made.
Hey guys,
the market.
I'm gonna be putting together like a short video, maybe a part 2 of the documentary of when I was in Colombia with George and Nelson. You know, how we went to all the merchants and what's the process of going door to door, and showing how hard it is to get merchants to start accepting Dash, but how it's done. So stay tuned. I didn't have time or money to pay someone to do the editing, but probably in a couple more weeks, so I'll get this done.
You're such a tease, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
that's it. I like it. Dangle the carrot for the community. I love it.
Hey, what's the ETA on that the FuseX card? Do we know?
Well, it's a tricky situation. They give a blog post update every 2 weeks. It looks like they've still got some banking things to sort out. Now, a few months ago, their estimation was Q4 2018, but I think it's safe to say that it's probably going to be early 2019 now. I believe they're using a Singapore bank, but it looks great. They've got so many partners, so I can see this moving forward. But yeah, I reckon, I'm just guessing here, but based on things that they've said in their blog post, it's probably going to be late Q1. Guessing.
And what about Wirex? Remember, they were supposed to integrate us.
Yeah, with that,
BitGo?
They do use BitGo. Maybe. Well, I don't want to put John Kindle on the spot here because I don't know if. So, in terms of business development, I think as we paid, what was it, like $500,000 for the integration with BitGo as a custodian solution to add Dash. Obviously, BitGo is a great partner, and it opens the door for Dash to be used on the clientele because it's like a service solution, right? But I don't know what partners that use the BitGo solution have actually taken advantage of that and put in Dash. I'm guessing if you're a big exchange or a solution that's using BitGo and Dash, that a lot of it's not going to happen overnight because you have to plan things out. So, John, I don't know if you can speak to that, as you're probably the one that's most closely aligned with the biz dev team here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a list offhand of, all the new integrations or opportunities that have opened due to the BitGo integration. I can tell you, though, that it's definitely, it's one of those things where we don't have that friction point anymore. I mean, in the first half and even like the first 3 quarters of 2018, we would be speaking with people who are totally on board to accept Dash, but they're already set up in BitGo. And so what that ends up doing is it kind of kills any possibility of us adding Dash because they would effectively have to migrate from BitGo to a different API provider in order to be able to add Dash. So that's a really good note. I mean, I'll definitely bring that up with Brad because I think it's nearing that point where we can start to kind of illustrate that ROI. I think the one thing that I would just kind of echo, similar to what you're saying, is that it does take a certain amount of time for a level of uptake to happen. And so I would expect like a 6-month lag time really behind anything that we do on the biz dev side as far as like integrating with BitGo. There's probably going to be, kind of an uptake period so that it can be properly integrated and tested and so on and so forth. But no, I think, it was a huge project, but I think it's a massive, foundational piece that we'll be able to build from in the future. It's actually kind of funny. We were talking a little bit earlier about, the fact that it's kind of a double-edged sword having the option to do a easy Dash integration in that, it's nice when the opportunity presents itself, but it has to be set up the right way. And I think what's really special about the BitGo opportunity is because we've integrated Instant Send into BitGo, all of the BitGo clients have a much easier time adding Instant Send. So it's really working at that, super low level of the ecosystem where we can create the biggest net difference, even though that impact ends up kind of presenting itself in a lot of different ways.
Well, there's a lot of big exchanges that use BitGo. Speaking as a European, I would love it if we get on Bitstamp. That would make my life a lot easier. So if you can get on that, you may be doing it right now. I don't know. I'll put my hands up. I don't know. I know you have been working with some big exchanges because, well, we've had one very recently, DigiFinex. Now, when that came out, that announcement, I was like, DigiFinex, is this a really big announcement? But then I checked the market cap and, they were top 5 in volume. So they've come out of nowhere. So, I mean, that was a really big fish to land. So I'm hoping there's going to be more to follow. And I believe there are more exchanges still to come.
Oh, yeah.
With
yeah, I just kind of view it as like a ongoing process. And I think the great thing is that we're kind of locked and loaded and armed with that resource now entering 2019. So I think it's going to be a really, really valuable piece of our overall integration tool set.
Excellent. Yeah, Robert, you was going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that I've met Bitstamp on Web Summit this year in Lisbon. We've spent a couple of hours chatting with these guys, and they are obviously interested in other assets, let's say, to be added, but they are not predicting any changes to be done soon. So, well, Bitstamp is a tricky thing for some reason. I don't really know why, but they would be interested in Dash when they are changing their business development strategy overall.
Yeah.
So probably we will stay in touch. Probably we will work further with them, but they are not making any promises. They are not anticipating any new integrations. But there are other exchanges on the market that are more open to us, definitely. And BitGo is a door opener to the big guys.
What about Gemini? Are they BitGo? And what about Purse.io? Do we know?
So Gemini got renamed to, was it Coinbase Pro, I believe now, right? And now they're also available in the UK. It's kind of strange because like back in the day, everyone used to look as if you can get on Coinbase, you've won. But now there's so many other exchanges, and kind of Bitstamp was kind of the Coinbase for Europe. But now there's so many different exchanges in different countries. They're slowly, I don't want to say they're losing their influence, but there's just so much accessibility elsewhere with other exchanges. There's hundreds of exchanges. So, yeah, but obviously the more exchanges we get on, the better. For me, I think some of the Asian exchanges this year have been really good. And I think we need to put more of an emphasis and focus on that. But Brian, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So something that Robert was saying earlier, I completely agree. 2019, we're going to hopefully see people look at Dash differently and actually start using it as a use case for business. Now, in America, yes, New Hampshire's got it going on, new Dash here, but Alt 36 could be really, really big for Dash next year. So what makes you excited about Alt 36? Because that's a big thing, right?
Yeah, I know that there's banking legislation they're trying to push through, so I just hope they, get it going pretty soon. That I'll say the one thing that worries me about the Alt 36 is the different the fees, and I know they're partnered with Node 40 and all these different ones. That's the only thing that kind of worries me about them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to their ATM network and all that stuff for sure.
Anyone else want to talk about Alt 36? Joel, you signed up recently. Let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, I signed up as a customer on the site just to see what I could get. Well, just see what the process was like, and they just said roll out and point of sale Q1 2019 in California, Arizona, Oregon, and Nevada.
Excellent.
So there's that to look forward to. I believe Ryan mentioned before that there's some significant B2B transaction volume on the platform, not in number of transactions, but in total value of transactions. I thought I heard something along the lines of it could be Dash's biggest point of sale system by volume. So
yeah,
I have to dig some more and find some more info on that. But as soon as something goes, we have another.
Merry Dashmas.
Yeah, hey, Alt 36 is also supposed to, it's not just cannabis. They're supposed to open up to everybody, and they have the accounting software and, to do the taxes and all that stuff. So that's exciting about them as well.
Yeah, and one thing that Justin might want to take note of, if that he's not aware, if you go to Alt 36 Twitter account now, they put out a tweet recently saying, "Are you ready to easily pay for cannabis online with your mobile device? If you sign up with Alt 36 now, you'll be entered to win free cannabis for a year." Now, I think that only applies to people in the United States, unfortunately, for those that
certain states.
Alex looks really interested in this, but I'm sorry, mate, we can't apply.
Yeah, we could do an airdrop.
I mean, if it's free, I'm taking.
A move here.
I'll hold it for you. I'll hold it for you.
It'd be funny if Kimbo got that.
Yeah. So for me next year, I think Alt 36 is going to be huge. The FuseX card for selfish reasons would be great. WireX, I don't know what the status is. Yes, it's true they do use BitGo, so that's still something on the table. They gave a presentation at the London conference in September 2017. Then obviously whenever the Christmas period, most crypto cards that use Visa got deplatformed by Visa Europe. They found like a new solution. I'm guessing they kind of had to switch their providers, which kind of mixed things up a little bit. Then there was an open house event which they had in London, and I believe the CEO did actually mention about adding Dash then, but I've heard absolutely nothing since. I've tried emailing the CEO, I've tried tweeting them, but like, yeah, they're not budging. It seems like they moved over to integrate this year. Just observing Litecoin and Ripple. Now, they may have done that from a business standpoint because they're looking at the coin market cap and they're seeing Litecoin and Ripple above and just saying maybe they see that as a bigger business opportunity to prioritize over Dash. Maybe that is the case. It's hard to say. I would like WireX to be there because they're based in London. However, I'll come back to that FuseX card with that little screen. With Bradley doing that video at Money 2020, that looks so cool. I just want one to show off. I wanted it for my, I'm going to see my friends from school tomorrow. It's going to have Christmas drinks. We do it every year. And I really wanted to pull out my wallet and they'll be like, whoa, what's that? I'll be like, check out this, check out what's, because you can actually use that card to load up your debit cards on as well. So you can have up to 30 different accounts of cryptocurrency, your bank cards. So you can all have it on one card. So I'm not being paid by them. I probably should be because I'm really hyping it up here. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because it's going to make my life a lot easier.
Do we know the fees? Do we know what their fees are going to be or any idea?
No, that's another thing. I don't know how much these cards are going to be. That's also what we should say. PayCent was a big partnership this year. So right now you can actually get a card, at least for Americans as well, because that's previously been a sticking point. But I believe their cards were quite expensive in terms of actually buying the physical card and the shipping. I think it was something like $145, which compared to other solutions before that has been more on the more expensive side. But fees and stuff are very tricky because then you've got fees for ATM withdrawals and that sort of stuff. So you want to do your research. But in terms of fees for FuseX card, that hasn't come out yet. So it's hard to say. But I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic.
Do we have any cards right now that take?
Yeah, you've got PayCent. Now I don't think it's been officially advertised yet, but I think there's a community member in the Dash Talk that's got a Polisk POLIS. I think he was a beta tester for it. I don't know if that's going to go public, but he's been using it. So
I think they're still beta testing.
Yeah, so that might be coming to fruition. But look, if you want to use it right now, PayCent is probably the way to go. If you can afford to wait a little bit longer, hoping the price is going to go up, fingers crossed. I think the FuseX card's where it's going to be at. And I honestly, I'm hoping it's only going to be a few months out into the new year. So that should be exciting for me. I feel like I'm giving FuseX too much time.
Somebody was complaining about the PayCent fees. What are the fees on that?
Oh God, I don't know off the top of my head, but for me, the biggest hurdle was the physical card and the shipping. Like it was, they may have changed it now, but I think it was $145 at the time, which was kind of like whoa. But they're based in Southeast Asia, I believe, so that's why the shipping.
Couple Dash for that,
Yeah.
Uphold has all the different cards and stuff. Are you able to use that with your phone and make that work somehow, or does that not work like that?
Well, Uphold has a mobile application now, which I believe is fairly recent. Is that correct, Joel? I think it's only in the last month or two they've launched that mobile app.
Yeah, but the cards on it's just a way of it's like a manner of speech. It's just like pockets.
Yeah, they're not. It's not physical. It's just their dashboards, so you can add a currency and they put a card there just so it looks nice and pretty. But yeah, and also as well, I'm sure everyone watching knows, but Uphold was added to the Dash wallet. It's on the Android wallet. I'm not sure if it's available on the iOS wallet. Does anyone know? Has that happened yet?
Does anyone know?
No. Rodrigo says no. Oh, well, we sure that's coming. I'm sure that's not an issue with Dash Core because we know they're on the ball. It's probably Apple waiting to approve the app and the update. I'm sure that's the case.
Comment, constructive criticism. Like, I love Uphold. I use it all the time. And the new application, man, I just can't get used to it, man. Just give me my cards back. I love the way I handle my cards. I made a tweet about it. They responded. But I don't think I can get used to this, man. Honestly,
what's wrong? I've not used it. What don't you like?
You haven't used the new Uphold app. There's positive things like the new design is very modern. Looks pretty cool. Now, when you open up the application, you actually get the prices of the different currencies, which you didn't get on mobile before. So that's good. However, when you use Uphold, your mentality is in cards. Like, this is my Dash card, this is my USD card, and you would handle things like that, and you still do that on the website, on the website. So why does the app has to be a questionnaire now? Like, if you want to do something, instead of getting into a card and do what you do, now you say, hey, I want to send money, and they start asking you questions. Okay, what do you want to send? This, how much you want to send that, and it's just like a question after question. I just don't think I can get used to that, man. It used to be way easier before, so I don't understand why they changed it. And there's actually something that I think they're probably going to fix, but it's annoying right now, is that I was trying to send from Binance to Uphold a certain amount of Dash, and I couldn't, request a specific amount that I wanted to send. So I had to type it manually because in that questionnaire, it didn't allow me to type the exact amount. So I had to type it manually. It was very annoying. That wasn't there before. So, I really like the new design. It's very modern, and there's some new stuff that is good. So I'm not trying to hate on it. I love Uphold, but the new application, I honestly think the way it used to work before was much more comfortable to me. I'm trying to get used to it. It's been already like a month since I'm using it, and I still don't like it, man.
Yeah, so while we're talking about how much we love Uphold, but what we hate about it, I'll contribute a thing. To move crypto off the platform, it's a $3 fee. And that's
$4.
No, isn't it? It's $4 to move fiat off, but it's $3 from what their site said last time I checked. So that means if you have Uphold in your Dash wallet and you're like, I'm going to buy some Dash, you take, say, $100, you want to buy $100 worth of Dash. Well, already you get 98.75 cents because of the conversion rate, the 1.25% fee. You're like, all right, I want to spend that now. But in order to actually move it to spend it and put it from your wallet to your actual wallet, then you have to put another $3 in. And it's just like, if you buy $10 worth of Dash, now you have under 7 left. So it's it really makes it so you kind of need large amounts. It makes a nasty barrier entry. And also, if you're trying to save, say, 10% by buying something with Bitrefill, that cuts into it a whole lot. And anytime we mention that, people are always complaining, oh, it's a usurious, it's a tariff extortion, this kind of, maybe not that crazy, but it's not ideal. And
they should change that. Instead of a flat amount, maybe a percentage, but then you would be screwing people who move large amounts, because if you're moving large amounts, those $3 are actually really good. But then if you change it to a percentage, maybe they move in large amounts. But I think it's a cost benefit thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I've been talking another wallet service that has partnering with another exchange that will remain unnamed at this point, mentioned something about, hey, we can probably get that to a 1% fee and $0 to move it off. Bring on the competition. Sure, absolutely. Right away. So
I want to give
be done.
One pro tip for people that are in the UK that want to use Uphold. Funny enough, I just did my KYC with Uphold today, which I found the process pretty straightforward, to be honest. But there is one thing this doesn't apply to all Europeans, because people like Alex are on the euro, so he's okay on this. But if you're in the UK and you're using the Great British Pound, even if you add the GBP card to do a bank transfer, their details, it's in euros. It's a euro bank account. So if you send pounds, you've got a horrible exchange fee. So my tip of the day, if you're in the UK and you want to use Uphold, is to use Revolut as the in-between. So you have to send your pounds to Revolut, and then you can change your pounds into euros at a really good exchange rate so you don't get ripped off. And then you can send the euros to your Uphold account to exchange into Dash. So I'm kind of disclosing here that I'm looking to buy Dash.
I think I'm getting brain bleeding.
And all that to buy the bit refill card.
Yeah, there's just Hawaii Volcano Squad's also saying that there is a if your Uphold account's inactive for 90 days, it gets terminated. I didn't know that. I guess mine's terminated. So.
Oh my god!
Right, ask me in 90 days.
That's a funny anecdote.
Well,
back in February, March, we were at one of the Dash conferences here in Caracas, and we had one new employee at the Dash Help Support Center, and he had recently opened his Uphold account, and we were at the conference, and there's the Dash City with all the merchants, accepting Dash, and he went to buy a shake. And he came back like, "Hey man, this shake was so expensive. It was like $4.50. What in the world was happening here?" And the problem was he paid with his Uphold wallet, so he got like $3 ripped off, and we were all laughing at him like, "Man, you don't use Uphold to pay for merchants. You use the regular wallet." So yeah, it definitely has screwed over some people.
Yeah, so rough.
Yeah, you got to play the game. I mean, there are exchanges out there that do have the pound sterling to Dash trading pair, but there's not a lot of liquidity on them. This is like CEX.io is one of the big exchanges, but in terms of Dash, so you've got to play the game. You've got to look around and see where it has a lot of volume. So the euro seems to be a bigger market for Dash. Obviously, the US dollar is the biggest one, but in terms of the European market, that's why Bitstamp mainly uses euro trading pairs and not the pound sterling as well. So there are options out there if you are in the UK and you want to buy Dash, but if you want to get the best deal, you have to look around. And sometimes I switch up to US dollars as well. That's another workaround for people that like to use Coinbase to buy Bitcoin, because they'll use their UK bank account to Revolut to change to US dollars to send to Coinbase, etc. So they can buy the best. But the problem is then you've got the bank transfer. For using SEPA, it can take a couple days, which is kind of frustrating because you see the price and you're like, I really want to buy right now. And these solutions like Uphold, where you can pay with a debit or credit card, you've got like over 3% fee extra added charge to use your debit card, which is, understandable for what it is. But I don't think many people are willing to pull the trigger and eat that cost. But at the same time, you're kind of gambling. It's like, well, I'm going to put money over, but it's going to take a few days. So it's just one of those things that you've got to get used to playing. But it encourages dollar cost averaging, which I'm a big fan of. I've kind of been, I'll put my hands up, I've been buying Dash as it's been going down. And yeah, and I'm buying now. Ryan last week on the podcast said that he's buying now. I'm sure other people here, I think George kind of disclosed that he's buying, I think. Is that true?
I don't have anything to buy it with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we actually did buy some.
But like, George, in Colombia, is it easy to get hold of Dash? Because you've got ATMs there. You can't really have ATMs in Venezuela because you need like a wheelbarrow of cash and you would like fill up the machine. So I mean, like, but in Colombia, that's not the case, right? You've got ATMs there.
Sure. We have a partner company called CoinLogic, and they have I think 5 or 6 ATMs in the city. And right now they're doing a promotion. You can buy Dash with 0% commission. And they also they recently had a conference where they are going to be they announced they're going to be rolling out some simplified machines in Venezuela where people can buy with their bank debit cards. So CoinLogic is definitely a company to watch. They're doing interesting things. Yes.
Excellent. That's the really fascinating thing about the UK. Is in London, I think we've got close to about 20 ATMs, Dash ATMs. But like, there's not many merchants. So if you want to buy it, things with ATMs as well, you've got to be careful because it's down to the individual operator that owns it that sets the percentage, and they do vary quite wildly. I've seen some as high as 15, 20%. So be careful.
In which city are you, Mark?
I'm just below London, so it's not too. But like in terms of UK adoption, I think it's really, we need to go to the head of a snake, and in terms of POS, to go to one of the big boys and integrate a modular thing. I think that's the only way it's going to work here. But there is interest, but I think we're such a nanny state that looks to the government to solve all our problems. I think a lot of business owners look at integrating cryptocurrencies right now as problematic, hassle, and they're just like, I guess they're just watching what everyone else is doing, and they're with Brexit going on and everything, they're worried about the legalities of everything. I know there's some recent documentation that's come out that's looking at the taxes, and potentially masternode payouts might be taxable as well. This is just new information, so we're still trying to decipher that to see what the nitty gritty is, but things are changing. So we'll just have to watch this space on that one.
So hey, we're coming up on 2 hours, and if we go over 2 hours, Grandmaster Dash turns into a pumpkin. So we should probably wrap it up.
Hey, I just want to say what I my 2018-2019 thought, which is, I think if we look at just the people on this call, and I think for every person on this call is a very high quality person adding a lot of value to Dash. And if you look at each of us, I think each of us can think of several other people in the Dash community who are not on this call, but who are also very high quality individuals who are adding a lot of value here. And I think that is that's something that's been very encouraging about 2018. And what I'm looking forward to in 2019 is to see what new individuals we can attract, all of us combined, who are going to add the next layer of value to Dash and are going to continue building this out. So that's what I have on my mind.
It's fun. On that subject, just today we published an article about Uphold, and been talking a lot about Uphold. But according to when they're checking out different statistics on their platform, and one of them was apparently based on like the average buy amount versus sell amount on different cryptocurrencies. Dash has an average buy amount of like $600 or buy value, and sell is like 200. It's really lopsided, where everything else is a little bit more even, or in the bear market the sell amounts have been higher. And basically it says that the Dash community has the most conviction of all the other cryptocurrencies by a huge margin. Of they're just buying the dip all the time and only selling like a little bit, as opposed to everyone else. And so that's the thing about like the quality people here. It's people here, like, and that's one thing I've been trying to talk to, just talking with other people in the crypto space a little bit. It's easy to see other people are a little lot more flaky. Dash people are they're all about the Dash, and you can't really convince them otherwise. And kind of some people like other projects a little bit, but mostly they're just like, I'm happy right here. And it seems to be something that then the bear market crashes, everyone's laying off like 80% of their employees. Everyone's like, no, I hate. And then Dash is just like, we'll make it through. We don't care. Just that, I don't know. I think we have something special here that the rest of the world doesn't quite grasp.
And slowly coming across. So, Alex, it's now your time to get everyone excited and pumped for 2019. So what are you most excited about in Dash Evolution in 2019? What gets you up in the morning and say, yes, 2019 is going to be the year of Dash. The dashing in is happening.
5% price pump today after you say this, or you're fired.
No, that's actually a tricky question. I mean, you still need, like, it has been like 2 years on which we have been planning for the whole we could do, and then we have been building the thing in order to actually make it, trying to have all that aspect in mind, and then we start to be on the part. We are already at that part with DashPay, but we are at the part where start to you need to make all that thought into reality, like all those dApps, all those elements. So yeah, now I get into discussion about not just DashPay, but and what other type of stuff. So yeah, that's really what I'm getting excited, is that we still don't have everything out yet, at least in order to get a sense of being out. But we already have the community building stuff, like already. I know that right now we have, like a market outside of, like in Bitcoin, with people using the term build. Yeah, I mean, we don't even need to use this term. We are already building. So, I mean, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
Spedden. Those are terms that people have to come up with to be like, oh, that's right. I don't just buy this and hope it makes me rich. Like I do something with it. And I don't think that community cares that much because it's like, yeah, that's kind of what we've always been doing.
I mean, I'm willing to, I'm expecting that I will have to wait before being able to do my grocery in France with Dash, ideally without any type of, physics or whatever. With it, it would be at least a good progress. Well, it seems that they are doing everything, so the time on which I will have to switch to crypto is, going sooner. So they are helping on that, but yeah, you can still take some time. So I won't expect that for. Well, actually, you never know. I mean, we are at one Sunday of exploding everything. One thing, we are working in order to get the same thing than Sweets. With I don't know how to call that in English, but basically it's people having the ability to make some law. So with all that people getting really angry with the current system, with the fact that we don't have any control on our money. Yeah, I'm expecting for 2019, if everything goes fine this way, that we will get maybe even to vote on, yeah, what if crypto. Still, I hope that 2019 will bring a lot in scalability. It's not an issue today, but I'm always the anxious one of like, yeah, I know we don't have any block issue right now, but what if we just increase, in case of we know that we can go to have this kind of size. What if not just preparing in case of like there is multiple things I want to be careful. I'm also not always sure like the recent stress test we made still make us like there is some work to do. So we are not ready for like the whole Europe going on crypto right now. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting for this year. Is like we basically solve that problem.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be great to have the problem of scalability next year, to be honest.
Well,
and Alex was very
confident of
modest.
that.
Yeah, Alex was very modest on their work, but actually development team did incredible job this year. What they have produced is unbelievable. It's not visible yet, but because it's mainly the backend side, but it was something incredible, and it's coming next year. It will be, what is especially the Alex part, DashPay wallet, will be something that is changing this entire industry, I hope. So, and you've said that there is something exciting about our community, Joel. I think the most exciting thing is that the fact that we were never here for the prices, for the charts, but to deliver something what is going to change the world, the great product, actually. And this was always the focus of the team, of the community, and that's why probably we are so strong and unique.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Robert, one more quick thing. So, this time last year, we were still high off the London conference.
Mm-hmm.
This year, we're just around the corner is the DashPay app and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
This time next year, will we be looking back and saying, "Whoa, look, we've got a DApp marketplace," and we'll be looking at all the DApps? What are your thoughts? What do you think we'll be thinking at the end of 2019?
I have no idea.
Will we still be here?
Of course we will be here. We were here when the Dash price was, around $1. Right now it's around 100. Why we shouldn't be here? We are dependent on the price, especially development team, because we have to pay our developers. They have to pay their bills, right? So that there is a strong dependency on the Dash price to some extent, but also, on the other hand, we have so many dedicated people who are willing to work for free right now. They have declared that they will be working for free, even if it's necessary, just because they believe in Dash. So I'm pretty much convinced that we will be there next year. We will be here talking about, completely different things. But I have no idea what will it be. I hope it will be, something we are dreaming of. But I don't have this magic crystal ball. But I'm definitely excited about the new year. I hope there will be a conference, another Dash conference, and there will be a lot of work around evolution in promotion, in news, community, and then groups like yourself will be supporting these let's say, events. And I'm simply looking forward. This will be probably the most exciting year for Dash.
Absolutely.
Hey, I got one last question for Mark. Is there any proposals that you're looking forward to passing? Maybe this.
Well, this could be the last Dash podcast if the Dash Force proposal doesn't pass. So I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, we would leave with a bang. Well, technically, we would have the podcast on the 28th, I think. But yeah, the Dash Force proposal isn't in the green yet. So if you are a Masternode owner, please, if you like these podcasts and what we deliver, we would really appreciate your support. And actually, I'd like to throw that back with George, Rodrigo, and Lorenzo. I think I would like to take this opportunity to thank not just the Masternode network, but the Dash community as well for your support and everything that we do. We couldn't do what we do without you, and all of our projects here combined, including the Dash Core group. We do this, for you. We're all in this together. We're strong because we have a united front. So I guess it's my kind of way of saying, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And George, Rodrigo, Lorenzo, would you like to share some comments to speak to the Dash community and Masternode network for their support?
We have a proposal, a new proposal in front of the DAO right now because of the fall in price. We fell into hibernation mode essentially this month. We are still producing results, but at a much lower level. And I'd like to get a little bit of extra funding so that we can get back to about 80 or 85% of where our current proposal is, the purchasing power that was approved by the DAO, and so that we can get back on track and keep building here.
Excellent.
Yeah, for me, guys, I have a proposal with Dash current prices. I can't afford to go to Acapulco. I was invited to be a speaker to talk about the experience about Venezuela and the documentary and the DAO and the Dash ecosystem. So it's my proposal is up and running as well. For me, the past 1.5 years, I have a stack of shirts that everything I wear just says Dash pretty much everywhere. It's been a fantastic opportunity to travel to so many different countries and speak on conferences and create quality content for Brazil and also in English for the Masternode community. And it's been fantastic. I have nothing more than best wishes to all the proposal owners, and a big thank you to the Masternodes who've been supporting my proposal.
Excellent. Lorenzo?
And in our case, yeah, obviously the Dash falling price affected us as well, like everyone else's. And we thought about maybe doing something similar to what George did. However, we have 3 proposals up. And so we didn't feel like many people will feel like it was fair for us to upload a new proposal for that kind of stuff. So obviously our results with these prices have to be cut a little bit, but we are passionate people, and we guarantee every one of our employees salary, and we actually end up sometimes ourselves with our directive salary, just cutting them off just to get this work done because we believe this long term. We thankfully have other businesses that we have been living for for years. So we're just gonna keep working, keep making results, even with the falling prices. Hopefully next year prices will recover a lot. And I just want the Dash community and the masternodes to understand and to know the commitment that we have, because this is not about us making money. This is about us changing our country for better. So if this is all that we have been able to accomplish during a year of recession and falling prices, imagine what we can accomplish in a market that's actually fair to Dash and that actually recognizes the power of this currency and how much better it is than other alternatives. So yeah, that's my message. I'm hopeful for a better 2019 and to have a lot of scale. You know, we have proven a lot of the different projects in Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, and the different people of the community have proven some models. I think there's much less new stuff to discover. There's always new ideas to come, but I think that the core of the basis is there and the models are validated. I want to see in 2019 of scale and to see this going a lot more massive than it has gone this year. So that's my message. Thank you to all the community and to all the masternodes who have supported us.
Excellent. And Joel, is Justin going to have a job next year?
I don't know.
If not, he's invite me over here.
Yeah, I have his little silver coin. I can kind of comp him for a while in case, you know, I got some money. I can pay him with that.
Great bill.
Yes, that's a reminder. Everyone go vote. I know that everyone's trying to go do holiday stuff. Everyone's busy. Sometimes, unfortunately, the best proposals don't get a lot of love from people because there's a lot of supporters. It's like, oh yeah, I like them. We don't pay attention to them anymore because it's already like, well, yeah, of course, let's fund them. But sometimes you need to come back. Sometimes that's when people sneak in to try to derail good projects. But in general, just higher voter participation from the good people. It's going to be Christmas soon. Go vote now. As soon as you can, go vote now on all the proposals. And that includes, by the way, Dash Boost. Dash Boost is a proposal that's in the treasury system, but it's also its own micro proposal thing. And I do have a Dash Boost proposal in, but it's not just for that. Even if it didn't help me out, go vote in Dash Boost too. There's a lot of interesting proposals there, and especially if you have a lot of Dash like your masternode operator, it's easy to make a lot of difference. And then sometimes, of course, some people jump in last minute and think something right before the voting deadline, which is kind of sketchy. So the more, just like a healthy network, a healthy DAO has a lot of votes. So go through, look at everything, Dash Central, vote. Go through Dash Boost if you're so inclined, which I want to incline you to that, and go vote for whatever. Obviously, everyone makes up their own mind what they think is worthwhile, what isn't worthwhile, etc. But the important thing is you do make up your mind. You do make some decisions on that, and then we don't want to be in a position where like 6 months from now you're like, wait, this was going to happen? When was that? When did they have a proposal? Well, oh man, I wasn't paying attention. Or, oh wait, how did we fund this thing? This is a piece of garbage. How did this end up here? Oh, that was when I was like, yeah, I couldn't be bothered to go vote before the holiday season. And I could have gone in and taken a stand and stopped it. It's like, oh, don't let regret envelop you. Go vote.
Anybody with one Dash can vote on Dash Boost too. So yeah, go vote.
Yeah, shout out to Dash Boost. Well, fortunately, the Dash Core proposal's already in the green. So Alex, Robert, you're safe. You don't have to do an appeal to the community. So right now, it's hashtag Save Justin. So Justin, as you're one of the newest team members, and you've been doing a fantastic job. You've really been the MVP for Dash Force team. You know, we've had a lot of writers write for Dash Force News, and they're always optimistic, energetic at the beginning. But you know, after a couple of weeks, that momentum always drives down. But you've kept coming, and every day you deliver, and you've been an absolute rock star for team members. So I want to say thank you. But Justin, do you just want to talk out? Just say, like, what's your experience been with the Dash community? Because you come in with a economics background from university. You knew what Dash was, but you kind of got a bit more familiar with it. But you've got more in the community. You're seeing all these projects. What are your thoughts?
I would have to say I how much I really love Dash, just what it represents, because coming from an economics background, really into Hayek. I really love that one video he had where he was talking about monetary policy against Milton Friedman, but he talked about his idea of competing currencies and how back then that just was not possible. Or if it was possible, it would be really hard. Now it's so much more possible. Discovered Bitcoin in 2014-ish. Kind of learned a little bit about it, but didn't know much. Learned about more in 2016, 2017. I realized how many problems Bitcoin had. It had a great philosophy, great potential, but just was never realized. Dash is carrying that torch forward. And I just love being a part of this community. Everyone in here just wants to see Dash help individuals, give them back monetary freedom, financial freedom. And it's a blast to just work for Dash and just talk to people who are not only part of the libertarian community, but my friends who are not even part of any sort of libertarian community. Just say, hey, I'm part of this project that's trying to give people independent money that gives them more stability, better hope, and just a better life. And it's awesome to be a part of that, that's doing it through economic incentives rather than just charity, just handouts, or just government intervention laws. We're all working towards this together to represent a better community, and it's awesome to be a part of that.
Excellent. Well said. You've got my vote. Right. Chaps, before I pass it over to Joel to take us out, would any of you like to wish the community a Merry Christmas? Or be politically correct and say Happy Holidays?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry freaking Christmas.
Political correctness. We are working in the space that is by definition not political correct.
This is it. This is it. After this, Alex is going to be putting on his yellow vest and he's going to be out on the street protesting. So please stay safe, Alex. Pray for Alex.
Happy Jesus Day. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. Let's make the 2019 the year of Dash.
Excellent.
Merry Christmas.
Amen.
Excellent. Well, yep. So, yeah, wherever you are in the world, Dash is a borderless solution. So enjoy it, celebrate it. We've had a fantastic year. Yes, it's been a rocky roller coaster of ups and downs with the price, but it looks like we're slowly coming out of it now. There is signs of hope, and the projects and the building hasn't slowed down. The momentum keeps going. We keep moving. We're going to keep pushing forward. We're going to keep innovating. And Alex is smiling because there's dips that the core team have made that we don't even know about yet. So we've got so much to look forward to. Anyway, Joel, take us out.
Yeah, so like, share, subscribe. That's the only way you get this podcast to other people. There's a lot of people who've come to me personally at conferences, just people I didn't know, who just say, oh, I listen to your podcast every week. It's so much value. If that's true, we want more people on board. So like, share, subscribe. We're on all kinds of audio-only formats, like iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, etc. Those go up when we post the podcast on the post on Saturday. Those are all linked there. But now, guess what? It's time for the after party. And since we have so many people, this is like after party sized already. But the after party is where we just have a ton of people, like 10. That's a lot. And we just do this kind of thing in a much less formal, not recorded fashion for sometimes into the wee hours of the morning. It's the after party's not over until Mark, he starts seeing the sun come up and he's like, oh, crikey, and he has to go to bed. So we're going to do that. If popular demand is too much for the 10-person limit, I might hard fork the after party and just do the Dash Force after party DV or Duff's Vision, and then we have 2 of them, and then we can fill them both up. So what you got to do, you got to go to the Dash Talk Discord. The easiest way to get there is go to staydashy.com. I wonder who picked that one out. And just start asking around, where's the after party? I want into the after party. Can I get into the after party? Where's the after party at? After party. Oh, by the way, after party. Someone will let you in eventually.
Excellent. Yep. So that was episode 83 of the Dash Podcast Christmas special. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to all our guests that have joined us today. Much appreciated. And although Dash has the best features in the cryptocurrency space and is the leading digital payments platform, I just want to say that even with instant send, private send, the best feature that Dash has is the community. That is our secret sauce. So thank you for supporting us. Have a fantastic Christmas and have a fantastic weekend before. But most importantly, the moment you've all been waiting for, stay positive, stay humble, but most importantly, stay dashy. Merry Dashmas, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.